one of the big promises with 5G is this idea we're going to be connecting a lot of devices via 5G, be they sensors, be they automobiles, trucks. I don't know, we're going to be doing planes, but it does sound like we're trying to hook a lot of stuff that are moving directly to the cloud via 5G. Are you anticipating any problems? It sounds like a major change. I'm not seeing a lot of it out here in the U.S. yet.
Yeah. So let's put some parameters around all this thing. I mean,
sure.
Do you have any concept of how big a 5G module is? Just curious. Would you have an idea?
What?
The size of your finger now,
which side is it going? You're talking about the phone module or the tower module?
Yeah. Let's talk about the connected device. Yeah. So the module is about this big. It's about 1 inch by 2 inches.
Yeah. Right? That's what I've seen.
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah. Okay. So that's a module, and it's about 4 millimeters thick or something. Yeah. So that's not going to go terribly well inside a bottle top, right? To connect the.
Oh no! I mean, it's not going to replace RFID or something like that. But I get to picture 5G connected Coke bottles. That, not given some of the stuff Coke's done, I wouldn't put it past them. But it seems unlikely. Well,
so what we do instead is we look at trying to fit the technology, the right technology for the right use case. Yes. So narrowband IoT, we standardized that about 5 years ago. Yep. Mm-hmm. With narrowband IoT, and in narrowband IoT, we have the modules about the size of my little fingernail. Yep?
Right.
So now this is not a Coke can, but let's take a bottle, and if you up in the bottle, at the bottom there's always that little divot, where it's been injection molded. Yep.
Yeah.
And that's perfect. An IoT module fit in that perfectly. And you might say, well, hang on, how much is an IoT module? It's going to cost you, $5 to try and track a reusable bottle worth a penny, right? But now that module is costing you about $1, less than $1.
Wow.
In China. So suddenly the concept of being able to connect things, and you'll say, but hang on, Paul, that's narrowband IoT, that's not 5G. Well, okay.
Yeah.
5G is LTE-M, which all the broader sort of stuff. But the 3GPP, the standards group, is bringing all this together so that yes, it will all appear as though it's managed the same way. There's a bit of a loose way to say it. So when everybody says you're going to be able to connect everything, the answer is we could, but you have to put things in perspective. If we went into, say, a manufacturing plant,
right,
which has got lots of sensors everywhere, a lot of the sensors are still connected, as you know, by Ethernet, right?
Yeah.
And others are connected with Wi-Fi. Some are using even Bluetooth or LoRa. But we've now put them inside a DPU. The DPU looks about this big, right? So
right,
fits quite nicely. The chip and everything. It's about half an inch thick or something, and it's got a couple of little DPU? Antennas on it, and that sort of plugs on. Yeah, processing unit for data
digital processing unit. Sorry,
so you just a data log. Yeah,
sorry,
a data logger.
Let's acronym. Some of the people may not know what it is.
Yeah. So let's think of a data logger. So right, a sensor that's measuring something that's got to transmit. So that's packaged up in something that will fit inside robot arm or inside any of the conveyor belts and things that you've got in a factory floor. It'll fit in a pallet. So if you're bringing up half a dozen boxes and things like that, that's traditionally moved around a warehouse and packing facilities. So certainly yes, those things will, and with time it'll just get smaller and faster and cheaper, as you know. So yeah, we will see a lot of things becoming connected, and I think at last count we have about 5,000 in China of B2B, so 5G in industry sectors rather than 5G for consumer.
So what's with regard to these connected factories, which I've been hearing about for a long time, is if you run into one that was just over the top in terms of connectivity, where they've really gotten ahead of the curve and deployed this stuff heavily?
I won't mention the brands, but I'll give you examples of let's take
what industry they're in and what they're doing with it.
I'll give you as much detail and you'll sort of be able to figure things out. But let's take an automotive industry, yes? So let's start with, if you're on a track and you're trying to test all the, you're trying to test, get all the data from the cars, off the test circuit, yes? Production cars, yes? Not racing cars or anything like that. We've done it in racing cars, but just put it in production cars at the moment. So, you run cars around the circuit to get all this data. There's terabytes of data coming up from that car. You can't have any wired connection, so it's got to be wireless. And the only choices you've really got are Wi-Fi or some of the others. But when we do it with 5G, obviously it's instant, it's secure, and it's instant, it's reliable. So that's one thing, just about getting data up. But let's talk about when we are manufacturing the car. As you manufacture the car, then you suddenly get all this data that needs to be, downloaded into the car. You've got to program it. So again, you've either got Wi-Fi along a production line or use something that can transmit, gigabits per second, which is where we're using 5G. Then we're putting the 5G chips inside the modules, inside the robots, and in the conveyor belts and the assembly components to monitor. We call it predictive maintenance. So we're looking at, when things will wear out, or predicting when things will wear out. So we're collecting all this data from all the robots to try and anticipate when it's necessary to, have predefined maintenance schedules, or if you like, maintenance just in time, etc. So that's really where we see a couple of very interesting examples. Of course, it's all about quality control. It's all about optimizing maintenance, precision monitoring, things like this. Also, glasses. We're using augmented reality glasses in predominant maintenance and construction. So you put on the glasses, I can see you, Rob, you're talking to me and say, Paul, turn the knob to the left, press the green button and do this. And now I'm an expert in whatever it is. And yesterday I knew nothing. So we see these sorts of 3 use cases popping up inside pretty much any manufacturing facility.
And as they put this stuff out, are they running into any real problems because they're replacing an existing infrastructure with these components? Are they finding it easy, or is it creating additional problems they didn't anticipate?
Right. So let's take an example of, say, a Wi-Fi network in a factory, and this has actually come from an industry expert who's running a company in the UK, and they build private, not necessarily private, but managed networks, sometimes on behalf of the UK operators or in partnership with them, because the IT guys in the factories don't know how to handle the technology and install it. And just from his words, he was just giving, I think he had 7 reasons, I can't remember all of them, but why is 5G better than the others? And the first one was about reliability. You just can't beat 5 nines, right? And that's what you get in a mobile network. You don't get that in Wi-Fi.
No.
And then the second one he mentioned was security. Yep. So, 5G is very secure, far more secure than Wi-Fi or even 4G. And when he went through the list of everything, one of them was interesting. He said the combination of latency and speed, and so latency and mobility, because moving from Wi-Fi hotspot to Wi-Fi hotspot, there's latency. So it wasn't the traditional latency, but it was the latency and handover. And this combination 5G does very, very well because it's designed to be mobile. Right. And his last one was about price. He did, I need 12 of them, 12 Wi-Fi routers to do the job of one or two 5G ones. So one 5G one might cost more than a Wi-Fi one, but to make the solution work, and he had a whole bunch of. So very interesting. He said price, it's actually cheaper. So then it came down to what are the practical considerations that you're asking, and a lot of it is trying to understand how to engineer this mobile network, because that's really what it is. Yes, it might be a nomadic sort of network. Think of it that way. And to be honest, it's done by specialists, radio engineers who work in the mobile industry traditionally, as opposed to people who are in IT putting in the traditional hubs, routers, switches, or Wi-Fi routers, yes, or equivalent ones. So the challenges you really have are that the telecom operators still see themselves as, let's pay license, build network, build a cell tower and sell SIM cards. And now we're saying to them, but you can make a lot of money and you can help the industry and grow the economy and drive industry transformation if you go into a manufacturer. And he says, well, how do I talk to a manufacturer? I don't even know their business. So there's quite a lot of complexity in this.